everyone for being here. A nice way to start this off. First ever middle school coaches roundtable, and I think there might be some youth coaches in here too. So I don't mean to exclude them. I just I'm so keyed in right now with the middle school level and trying to get as many teams as possible to potentially run the air raid or the spread, whatever it is. Just want to spread this ball around. My name is Matt Lasker. I'm out in Northern California, just outside Oakland in San Francisco. I was a head coach of the 14U 8th grade team. Last year we ran the air raid. I have purposefully gone down to the JV team, which is the 12 and under, because I wanted to prove that I could run it at that level too. And I've already talked to some of you guys, and you guys are doing it at that level, so I know it can be done. And yeah, so I'm just here to learn and try to figure out, other ways we can do this, better ways, drills. Me and Mike were talking a bit earlier, and I think the drilling and the practicing is what the secret sauce to all this is. So yeah, that's what I'm here for. I appreciate you guys jumping in and jumping on. Yeah, who wants to go next?
I'll go. My name's Randy Baskin. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. If you don't really know where that is, the best way I can explain it is where Wake Forest is. I actually grew up right down the street from Wake Forest. Went to Mount Tabor High School. I currently reside in Hertford, North Carolina. Offensive coordinator at Chowan Middle School. I'm a young coach. This last season was my first year. Outside of being a player, and I can't tell you it's a challenge. That was one thing I had to learn, was to take myself out of the game and not really get a player for something that I felt like I could have done. What I plan to get out of this, man, is learning. Last season we had success, which I'm not really a person that believe in luck, but I studied enough and we won some games, so we moved the ball. So I guess that was lucky enough. It's good to meet other coaches, man, that's doing the same thing, and I just look forward to learning more from other guys that's been doing it longer than me, and potentially maybe even teaching somebody who is in the same boat as me that ain't been doing it that long.
Exactly. You guys had some success last year, right, Randy? From what you were saying?
Yes, sir. 6-1 conference champion.
Beautiful. Awesome, man. Well, I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from you as well. So thanks for joining in, and let's keep going around. Mike, you want to go next since we've already kind of talked a little bit? People might have caught a little bit of that.
My name is Mike Hardwick, and I work at Oxford Middle School in Oxford, Mississippi. We're a 6A school, which is the largest classification, but we're the smallest school in that classification. But we are our high school is a 6A state champs. Randy actually grew up in North Carolina. I grew up in Durham, so I know exactly where Winston-Salem is, and I went to a bunch of Wake Forest games back in the day, a long time ago.
I come through Mississippi a lot, so I drive 18-wheelers. So.
Wow, cool. It's a small world, so you never know. I'm 61. I've done just about everything. I've been a basketball coach. I was actually a principal for 20 years.
Nice.
And about 15 years ago, I decided I'd get back out of administration and go back where I started, which was coaching middle school. So I've been here at Oxford ever since, and we kind of stumbled on the air raid about 2009, 2010, because when I started doing middle school, even at our big school, they had like 25 guys out for football. And so we tried to find a way to make it fun for the kids. And you just can't kill them anymore by doing the same old stuff that we did back in the day. So we started teaching ourselves the air raid. And like I said, now I've got about 50 to 60 kids in the 7th grade. We have 2 separate teams, a 7th grade team and an 8th grade team. So we play on Thursday nights. So we play 2 separate games. And then our high school this year, we probably had about 120 guys on the team. So it's taken us about 10 years to build up the program. So I'm always looking to steal some ideas and try to augment what we're doing and make it better. So kind of stumbled on this, and here I am.
All right. Well, thanks for joining in. We'll probably have a lot of questions for you. 10 years, that might be the longest at the middle school level I've heard of anyone running this. So thanks for joining in, and I'm sure we'll be wanting to ask you some questions along the way.
Looking forward to it, man.
All right, cool. Who's next? Maybe I'll just go down the list. Does Paul Kyle, is it?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, so you guys are all southern southern dudes. I'm from Pennsylvania.
There you go. I'm in
Wow.
California.
Man, I spent so much time in Pennsylvania, man. It's like my second home.
Yeah, I'm actually from a little school district just south of Williamsport, so where the Little League World Series is.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's where we're at. I'm just probably about 5'10". So I'm in a kind of a unique situation. I was actually the head junior high coach for a neighboring football team for about 6 years. Before that, I was involved with a 4A team in Pennsylvania. That's a pretty storied history called Berwick. That's where I went to school. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but like Ron Paulus and all those guys came out of that high school. Had like 6 or 7 state championships, a couple mythical national championships. But anyway, so I moved.
I haven't heard that name for a while.
What's
Ron
that?
Paulus. I said I haven't heard that name for a while, man. That's a great name drop.
Yeah, that's my alma mater right there. Me and him went to school. He was a little bit older than me, but he did some amazing stuff. I was a freshman on the football field, just kind of like jaw dropped at those guys. He was throwing 80-yard pellets in high school. He was crazy. But so anyway, so I was coaching out there in Muncie, which is a neighboring school district to the one I'm in now. And we actually moved out here. My kids entered to this school district. So I said, I'm not going to be coaching against my kids when I come up through. So I made the change over here. And this program has got a little bit of work. It's kind of like I got those guys where I needed to get them. In about 6 years, I changed them from never having a winning season to being like one loss teams. And then last year we were undefeated.
Nice.
And then I come over here and I'm gonna kind of have to start from scratch again, but it's the fun of it.
Fun, man.
But
it's fun. And are you running air raid already, or are you just trying to learn?
Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of on here, because I don't really have a lot of air raid experience. I come from all zone run power I type offenses, and they're changing. They're all bought in to the air raid at the high school level. And we have such a small school district that we kind of like, if we coach the junior high, we also coach the varsity too. So I'm Thursday nights, Friday nights, the whole 9 yards. So
Cool.
Their offensive coordinator and me are kind of he was kind of bought in on the air raid system. So I'm just doing my football diligence and trying to surf the internet, and I came across the middle school air raid, your middle school air raid page. And that Cole Tharp page too, and I'm just kind of soaking in a lot of information on the system. So,
well, that's great. I mean, I think most of us here have done the same thing. We got interested, tried to figure out a way to throw the ball around, started researching, and found some great videos. And that's going to be a good segue to. I'm really excited to talk about this next person that I'm going to make speak up. But so. Coach Ron Mackey was the first video that I saw, and it got me all interested in the air raid. And then I stumbled upon this other guy named Coach Joes Salas. And Joes Salas, I don't know if you guys have found him. Paul, have you found his videos yet online? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited because somehow Joe joined us today. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Hey, buddy. Excited to be here.
I appreciate it, man.
I was fascinated by your stuff. You know, I follow Matt on social media, and just excited to see a bunch of middle school guys that are running the air raid, and just trying to steal some ideas from you guys to help our middle school.
Yeah, And Coach Salas is one of the most respected coaches in air raid, and has been in the air raid, what, over 20 years you've been coaching air raid?
Yeah, it's the only thing I've ever done, as a matter of fact.
Nice. Atta
Even
boy.
though I'm an old guy, I never got to do the wing tee or anything. I've always been air raid because that's, I came up under Hal. So,
Yeah.
so he brainwashed me. I was actually, as I came into college, I thought I was going to be a ham bone guy, a broken bone guy. And
Yeah.
before long, Hal had me brainwashed. So I turned into an air raid guy. But
Very
my
cool.
wife I was just listening to everybody. Randy, my wife's from, she graduated from Wake Forest. And and Mike, you guys, I've been around in your area before. So I know Matt has no idea what we're talking about, but North Carolina's a good.
I want to learn. Obviously, the air raid is deep roots in the South. I mean, I can't find an air raid coach within 100 miles from me. So I'm glad to be talking with you guys and learning from the place that it all came from. So again, Coach, I appreciate you being here. I honestly, like, the next level items that we get to after we get past this, the basics of the air raid, I'd love to pick your brain. I'm sure everyone else would, because I know you do a lot of great work, how to integrate the youth teams with the high school teams and how to make sure that relationship. I've seen a couple of your videos with that as well. So again, I don't want to just make this all about you and make you feel uncomfortable, but I just wanted to thank you for being here and let everyone know that you were on this call, because that's actually pretty cool.
I appreciate you doing this, man. I think this is one of those things that helps everybody when you put something like this together. So I appreciate you, man.
All right, cool. So let's keep going around the horn. Hey, George Lee, are you in the house? I think I saw your name.
Hey, how y'all doing, man?
Hey, George, how's it going?
Hey, name's George Lee. Right here in Houston, Texas. Actually coach a few miles outside of Houston in a town called Dayton, Texas. Man, in all honesty, I wouldn't call myself an air raid guy. I grew up in a wing tee as well, played in it, went to college, played defense, played linebacker, ran a lot of 3-3 stack stuff. So it's kind of my background when it comes to that era. But when I got into coaching, everybody was going spread. And I was really concerned about how to stop the air raid. And the more and more I studied how to stop it, and again, man, I appreciate you being on here, Coach Salas, and some of you guys, man. I've been following you guys low key. I've been actually scouting you guys, and you guys kind of converted me, man. You guys have converted me, man, and I started to implement some of it a few years back. I had a middle school team. I first came in, we had never won a game, and so we put in just 4 verts, and we put 4 verts in, and we put mesh. And it changed everything we done, man. That year, we threw 16 touchdowns to 1 pick. And we found ways to beat teams that were really more talented than us because they could not stop us from, just completing passes and keeping the chains moving. And it's been really effective. We went 5-3 that year. The next year, got a better group of guys, man. We went undefeated. And so last year I coached at the high school, coached linebackers. And we were playing a district where a lot of teams run spread, a lot of quick game stuff, and we didn't do really well as a team last year overall, but our defense for the first 6 weeks, we were a top 10 team in the region, and we basically gave up about a little less than 200 yards a game passing. First 6-7 games, I mean, against some of those powerhouse schools that do nothing but air raid, we held those guys under 200 yards passing. And a lot of it had to do because my study and scouting of what those guys are anticipating, what those guys are looking for. So I'm sold, man. I'm a power run game guy, gap scheme guy, but man, I tell you what, I would throw the score.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And I appreciate you being on here, and and that's been my biggest message to a lot of coaches around here, trying to get them to just consider it. I had to sell this to we feed, one of the schools we feed is De La Salle up here in Northern California, and the guy's been calling the plays for our varsity squad that I took over last year, our 8th grade team. is a Hall of Fame lineman that's been calling the split bag veer for 10 years at this level with success, man. And we have a great program. And so, like, the biggest thing was, the biggest pushback I got is they can't do it. These kids can't do, 7th and 8th graders can't do this consistently. They can't go up and down the field for a game, let alone a whole season, right? And so it's just kind of switching that mentality and just letting people, let them prove it if they can or can't do it. And I think everyone will pretty much see that they can do it. It's just on us to coach them up. But yeah, man, thanks, George, for being in here, and thanks for inviting more people. I saw you online today trying to invite more people in, so appreciate you doing that, man. Brian Victor, is that you with the Dallas Star in the back? Are you in Texas? Oh, hold on, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go.
I think that's a leftover Christmas decoration my wife just put on the wall in our office. So. Yeah, so I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, a city outside of it called Rio Rancho. 2 years ago, I was coaching a team, and the offense coordinator, halfway through the third game, we hadn't had a first down in the first 3 games at all. We were running the wishbone. Our offense line was terrible, and so I just at halftime I put in let's start spreading it out, and I put in some plays. I put in running back swing routes and some slant wheels, and all of a sudden we freaking won that game, and so they made me offense coordinator after that. And last year they made me head coach, and I was doing the same thing, a lot of swing routes, running back. I kind of made my own version of stick and shallow, and the slant wheel was just killing these kids. I didn't even know what air raid was, and then halfway through the season, we blew a team out. We probably passed for, we're a 7th grade team at the time, 300 some odd yards, 5 touchdowns. And he's like, "You guys are freaking air raid." I called the high school, and I was like, I didn't even looked it up. So I wish I would have looked up earlier, but halfway through the season, I started looking on Facebook, air raid stuff. And I was like, oh crap. I felt kind of like a genius because I was kind of doing some of the stuff that people were already doing, and I mean, right. I'm learning tons. So now I'm the head coach of the 8th grade middle school team now. So hopefully we have a season this year, but I've been stalking you and Coach Salas the last month on YouTube, looking at your videos and stuff. So I appreciate you guys, all the information. I'm now converted to counter tray. I've never been around it. I've never pulled a single lineman. Our lineman have always been terrible, but now I'm going to do it because you guys.
Man, that's my favorite play. Honestly, it's kind of blasphemy for me to say it, and everyone always gives me grief for it. But man, that play, when that hits, that GT counter tray, whatever you want to call it, man, it's a beautiful thing. Well, thanks for joining us, Victor or Brian. Hopefully we can all just continue to work together and get better at this thing. Did my buddy Matt Hall finally make it in? Late, Matt.
Yeah, I made it in. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. How's it going?
It's going good. So, as you know, I'm Matt Hall. I'm coach a 7th, 8th grade middle school team in Lexington, South Carolina. It's called Carolina Springs Middle School. About, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, we had a change with our high school, and we went from running the double wing and the shotgun wing T to running the I formation with a little bit of spread. But that year we had a quarterback who actually just signed with Miami of Ohio. As an 8th grader, he was pretty dynamic. So we were under center at first, and then we went more spread towards the end and started running a lot of zone read. And then the past couple of years, we've been kind of fortunate having we had a quarterback last year that was real dynamic, and his but then he moved to an inside receiver for another high school. The guy that's going to be the quarterback for him, I don't know if y'all know, ever heard of Bobby Bentley and Jake Bentley? Jake Bentley was the starting quarterback in South Carolina. I think he transferred to Utah. His younger brother is going to be the quarterback. That kid's pretty good. So, but we've been running a lot of RPO stuff, and then I just fell upon Matt's stuff and been kind of communicating back and forth with him. And the guy that was helping call the offense is actually moving to to the worst team in our conference next year.
Okay.
For whatever, one of our as a bunch of mutual friends, but one of them's the guys, the head coach, kind of talked him into it because I mean they might have half an athlete every year, kind of deal. So you know, he wants to see what he can do with a school like that. And I told him good luck. We'll be playing the first game of the season. So he's already told me don't put up 40. And I said, look, man, you know what we have coming back. You know what you left. So have fun with that.
Well, that's funny. And you know, one of the things that caught my attention initially about the air raid was like it was created to kind of level the playing field with teams that might not have as much talent. And I continually hear about Salas's teams that may not have the most talent in his area, but they compete. So watch out, man. They might put some points up on you.
He doesn't run the air raid. He runs like quadruple reverses, and he'll run he'll move his tackles out and have. I mean, he tries to do crazy stuff all the time instead of just trying to play straight up. He'll run a lot of try to run zone read, but like I said, you know, whenever they might have one athlete a year that helps them. But I mean, they're much smaller than us. So
yeah, well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was watching.
It's fun when you have coaches.
I'm sorry about that. What?
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was watching some of that Joe's stuff last night that he put on the page about sticks and the GT and all that. So.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Okay, cool. Is there anyone else in here that hasn't introduced themselves? I don't think we'll go around and spend half an hour every time we do this on that, but a lot of you guys, we've been conversing on Facebook and Twitter for too long not to at least like say hello cordially and get to know each other a little bit. But did anyone?
Coach
Darius.
JD here.
Yeah, what's up, Darius? How you doing?
Oh, this is Coach JD.
Oh, JD, sorry. How's it going?
Yeah, Jaron Durham on Facebook. I spoke to Randy Baskins a few times. We linked up on Facebook. I'm stationed. I'm military. Stationed currently here in South Carolina. I've been here 3 years. It's my first duty station at Shaw Air Force Base. It was my first duty station. I came back 2017 in September. I coach youth football here in Sumter, South Carolina. I'm a defensive guy. When I first got out there, I was running a 3-3-5. Ran it with relative success. And I linked up with a coach, very old school traditional coach who likes to run the wishbone. And, I try to convince him to, throw the ball, throw it a little bit, especially because we're a pretty dominant team in our local area. And he's very old school to the point to where he likes to say that the kids won't get it. And I'm like, a coach is a teacher, man. You got to be able to teach it to them. And on the other side of the ball, as far as defense, I kind of been running it for 2 years for him. And I've been ready to switch to the other side. And so I'm kind of on a revenge tour this year, hoping that everything kicks off. And I'm hoping to have my own team this year and actually, show the league that you can actually throw it. And that's pretty much where I am. And as far as learning the game, learning the air raid philosophy, I've been following Coach Ron Mackey. He was at Crestwood. I've been trying to find out where he's headed to next, but he's kind of an elusive guy. And who else? I've been following Coach Coulthard, 92 Mesh Group. I've been following them and Coach Salas. I've added you as well, Coach Lasker. So I've been doing my research and ready to roll this upcoming season. I'm just crossing my fingers, hoping we're gonna have a season here.
Oh man, tell me about it. Yeah, no, that's all the right people, man. I think that's those names. If you consume what they have and make what you can out of it, I think you'll be in good shape. Sounds like you already are. So thanks for being so active on social platforms, man, and thanks for jumping in here. It's great.
Yeah, no problem.
Right on. Who else? Darius?
What's up, coaches? How y'all doing?
How's it going, man?
Good. I'm Darius White. I am a football coach and teacher and athletic director at Paquemids Middle School in Paquemids County, North Carolina. I'm just glad to join this group to learn some more about the air raid concept, which actually I was talking to one of the high school coaches, and they run a quick game air raid. So we're gonna try to work something at the middle school so we can build a little bridge program with them. So just interested to learn more about it.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're in the right place. I think everybody here, to some degree, runs quick game for sure. I don't know, maybe that could be one of the things we go around here in a second when we start going around the horn. I think I run 70% quick game. And it's mostly that at my level. We do run a couple of drop back games, but I don't call them nearly as much as the quick game. But thanks for joining in, man. I definitely think we're all going to get a lot out of this. So very cool. Okay, cool. So let's move on to actually some content. Oh, I'm sorry. I just put together a new little series. So sorry, that slide is not supposed to be in there. So we did introductions, offensive philosophy. So yeah, I mean, I kind of want to just go around. Maybe we can add the two of them together, because I didn't really expect introductions to go half an hour, but I'm glad we all got to kind of talk with each other a little bit more formally or informally. But maybe we can just go around one more time quickly and talk about offensive philosophy and how many plays you run. I'd love to hear that, because I think that is something that no matter if you're running air raid or if you're running anything, like the amount of plays you try to add to your playbook, I mean, that really affects how consistent you are. I definitely believe that. And two, I can't remember who just said that, who made that point, but let's just, I just want to make sure that I understand from everybody else how many plays you run, because we don't have too many, and I have a hard time knowing how many is a lot, to be quite honest, because I feel like, I mean, I had, I don't know, 12 plays at the most last year altogether with screens and runs, and I still feel like I didn't have enough time in a youth game to call them all, even if I wanted to. So okay, cool. So let's just go around again real quick, if we don't mind. So for me, offensive philosophy, obviously I've gone full air raid at this point. So definitely, just like the air raid certification says, I want to throw short as many times as I possibly can to my playmakers in a game, and just get them the ball in space. So I mean, that is definitely the tagline I'm talking to when I'm selling this to coaches in the area, or I'm trying to coach up new coaches on my staff about air raid. That's basically, in a nutshell, what I go after and what I'm trying to convey to them. I had 3 quick game last year, 2 drop back game, 3 runs, and I had 3 screens, but I didn't run them. So I had 11 plays basically. And my favorite plays were, we run all verts or 4 verts as a quick game. I don't think most people do that. So that was one of my favorite plays. Corner, we play all these teams, they only run a 1 high safety for the most part. Corner was right up there with all verts for me, and then GT counter. So those were I basically had 11 plays, and those were my 3 favorites. All right. Love to hear anybody
So
else.
since I'm at the top of the list, I guess I'll go first,
Yeah.
and because I'm trying to still get a grasp on the whole air raid philosophy. But from what I've seen, you're talking about offensive philosophy. Me coming from a pro back zone run guy, I like the up tempo. Not too many teams that we're going to play. Matter of fact, none of the teams that we're going to play are going to be able to handle that. They're not, you're cover 1, cover 0 mostly in our league, 1 deep, and they put 8 in the box, and they expect everybody to run. You know what I mean? So, that's going to be my philosophy this year after watching what I've seen so far. The air raid is, man, we're just going to gonna up tempo it, and I'm looking. I won't take up much of your time here as far as the philosophy goes, but I'm looking to ask a lot of questions regarding practice schedule, because me coming from the system that I was in before, like I used to go do practices a certain way, but when we get to that, I'll talk about that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's the secret sauce to all of this, man, is how you practice, how you set up your practices. And I stole all my practice stuff from Salas, so
yeah,
good guy to have in here. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Who's next? Go for it, Randy.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Well, for me, man, last season was a challenge because we went into all of our games pretty much blind because the coach we took over for, magically the film disappeared when he wasn't the coach anymore. So as the season went on, we had teams basically calling out our plays before we even ran them because we'll beat team A this week and they'll give the film over to team B next week. So as far as philosophy-wise, it was kind of a toss-up. But once I've seen what everybody's done for this season, what I really want to make everybody do is play us soft, meaning they got to stay on their toes, man. As Coach Paul said, I want to do that with a mixture of the read option and the air raid together and the up-tempo. So we face a lot of 6'2" teams, which inevitably is a 4-4 with the outside linebackers and run commit. And I noticed, like you preach a lot of your stuff, the backside. After I talked to you, actually, I went back and reviewed our film, and I kid you not, 95% of the time, the guy on the backside is running wide open. Yeah. And I'll be kicking myself like, oh, man, why didn't I look back there? But be honest, last season, I sacrificed a lot of stuff just to try to make sure my kids knew plays. And after sitting down and counting them, my head coach challenged me for them to know 20 plays, which I challenged them to know 25. And we actually knew 25 plays, but we didn't run all 25. As far as passing goes, we ran 4 verts out of anything. Like I said, we really wanted to use the option to make sure they learn that because that's what our high school runs. But everything was really set up off of that. And like I said, we faced a lot of 6'2" teams. And coming this year, they're going to have a handful because they ain't going to be able to stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy how they stay stubborn, though. Like, we came out in the spread last year, and, like, the first few games, we caught people in 5'3", 6'2", but some of them,
well, that was
the second time we played them, they just stayed.
That was the weird thing. My very first play call, first game, the first play was a jet sweep, and we're in spread, and nobody goes out with me. We end up taking a loss because, the guy on the outside is in complete run support. But it just shocked me, like, wow, like, y'all are not coming out here covering these guys. You're just rushing everybody and hope they get to the quarterback. But then again, that's because everybody around here is a wing T team at the middle school level. They want to break a run, score 8 points, and run the rest of the game out.
Right, exactly. And I think that's been what I've seen everywhere, man. And that's why I'm like on a mission to at least just like what Mike and I were talking earlier before everyone got on, just give people the option. Like, hey, coaches, you didn't grow up in the spread. We all grew up in some running dominant offense, but like it's even though we don't know it from back then, you can run it, and there's ways to learn how to coach it. So I think that would be the best case scenario to get out of this whole thing. So appreciate that, Coach. Anybody else want to share their philosophy and their kind of core plays? And by the way, I'm sorry, I put this play menu up. I'm doing this new webinar series, kind of like A to Z, and I just put this on here because these are the main plays that I know from the air raid, and I just wanted to put it on there. So just give people some.
What's the fade out?
There's definitely more. I'm sorry?
What's the fade out and the slant out?
So slant, I don't know what Coach Salas, tell me what the right nomenclature for slant out. That's the one I've been wanting to steal from you, where Coach Salas does mirrored routes where it's
right.
the outside receivers do slants.
we call it a slant shoot.
Slant shoot.
And then
Okay.
I'm guessing the fade out is the fade and the quick out by the inside.
Yeah.
Receiver. Both of those.
Sure. I got that from Napier. Yeah, like the three step speed out and the outside receivers do kind of an outside release go.
Yeah, we don't. And I struggle with putting this in each year, but I don't have the fade out in my offense, but it's we have a way where out of 4 verts the quarterback can check to the quick out, and but it's such a gimme sometimes. I always kick myself. I probably need to have it in there, but yeah, the slant out on my channel, it's the one called My Favorite Pass. And it's just slant out. It's a mirrored route where they're slant, shoot, check down is the quarterback progression. So they're actually reading both slants to the shoot route to the check down.
Yeah, that plays dead. If you guys haven't seen his video on that, it plays deadly. That's the one I keep trying to make myself not put in every single time I love one of his videos, but that's one that I'm just like going back and forth on because it seems like, I don't know.
And I'll be honest with you, we haven't had a lot of success with it on JV even. So
really?
I don't know. Yeah, for some reason the JV quarterbacks they don't pick up that walk player sometimes. I had actually the quarterback who took us to the state championship when we the number for that for us is 7 and 9, and we would joke when he was a freshman on JV. We called it 7 Oski because every time we called it, he'd throw a pick off of it. So we don't really throw it. We don't really throw that slant shoot down on the JV, and we don't ask the middle school to run it either.
All right.
But we love it. I mean, it's our number 1 pass on varsity. But yeah, it was 7 and 9 Oski down on the JV.
Yeah, that's not the kind of thing you want to be known for, but that's crazy. So that's interesting that it doesn't typically work for the lower level. So good. That makes me feel better because I've been like battling with myself, man, to see if I should take something else out to put that in.
Yeah,
but
I call that
the sticks and the fade out, I think, would be just eat people alive on middle school JV.
We ran a slant arrow, and we had a lot of success hitting that arrow route. A ton of success actually last year in the 7th grade level. So.
So we had a play that wasn't really a slant out. For us, it was I called it Spartan Go. Well, I ended up having to change it because Spartan for us means screen. So I ended up having to change it to Tiger Go, which is pass, so the O-line would know the pass block. Essentially what happens is the slot guy, it's out of twins right, single receiver left, and essentially the slot guy goes to block the corner. I think I sent this play to you, Matt, before in a film. He goes to block the corner, but yet he blows by him. And what ends up happening is the corners, because middle schools don't normally practice to cover the pass, so they get confused. So both the corner and the inside guy that was covering it went for the screen, and the free safety bit on it, and it was a 1-play touchdown on our first play of offense.
We call those stutter routes.
But that play was pretty effective for us all year long. If anybody want film on that, man, just let me know and I'll send it to you.
For sure. Hey, Mike, what do you guys run? You've been running it for 10 years. What are the core plays you guys run?
7th grade, we're pretty much all totally quick game. It's one step drop. I mean, you can't do anything else until you do that. I mean, the first play we're going to teach you is we call it a stop route, which is the inside receivers go 4 yards and turn around, and the outside receivers go 5 yards and turn around. And we spend an unbelievable amount of time on that. We run that out of trips too. Of course, the inside receiver runs to green grass. Anyway. And then, of course, that turns into a stop and go, which is your vert route. So, but we do the stop route first, and the second route we're going to teach you is the curl flat, which is the speed out route, and then the outside receiver is going to run back underneath it, running a curl back, stopping 8 yards, and then he's going to come back to the quarterback until the ball's thrown. The third route, which we're going to teach, is going to be, we call it the slant hitch, which is the inside receiver runs the slant, the outside receiver runs 5 yards, and then goes straight across underneath. So he's going to basically come underneath the slant guy, and the quarterback is reading the green grass area there. Then of course the verts, and then the fourth route we're going to teach is the hide route, which is the inside receiver running to the running to the pylons, and then the outside receiver running the bubbles. And then the next thing we're going to teach are the bubble routes to all the receivers, and then stutters after that. And that's basically our offense.
Yeah, get it go.
Once we do all that, yes. Then once we do that, then the stop and go is built in. The slant hitch, the curl flat and go is built into that. So you've got some other stuff that is built in once you teach those 4 routes. Because we also do the stick route, we do the sail and the cross, and the all hitch route is what y'all would call the shallow route, which is already built in once we teach it. So we have some other stuff we add to it, but we've already taught it once we do the quick game. And all that is off of 1-step drop. Nice,
beautiful. And so how do you guys, I'm just curious of how people run their bubble screens. Are they doing a bubble route, or are they doing the pedal? Are they backpedaling? That seems to be more and more common nowadays. Or how do you guys teach that receiver that's running the bubble? What's his steps?
Excellent question. And this is over years, this is what we've gone back to. We don't really care. We don't, inside receiver, we don't really care. We want you even with the quarterback. If you want to turn and go 3 steps and then look at the quarterback, if you want to backpedal 2 or 3 steps, we want you to get even with the quarterback at a 45-degree angle. And then once you're even with the quarterback's face mask, you are told to turn your tail and run to the sidelines until the ball is thrown as fast as you can. So, we got some guys that'll skip backwards. We have some guys that'll sidestep backwards. We have some guys that'll just backpedal 45 degrees. We've said, I don't care. Just get even with the quarterback and then run vertical to the sideline.
Gotcha.
That's a great point. I don't mean to just jump in there, but I like what Coach Harvick just said right there. It kind of varies for us in the sense that, if you're to the boundary, then we don't want you to lose real estate by carrying yourself all the way to the sideline. So it turns more like a kind of push off and then just kind of settle and catch the ball and get upfield. If you're to the field, of course, we want to try to use all that real estate that's out there. So we want to try to bubble.
We'll put a cone out even with the quarterback. We'll put a cone on the hash mark, and we'll put a cone on the end line. And we'll say, as long as you basically stay in this line, and which is basically, you're going to be straight with the quarterback. You just get even with the quarterback and run as fast as you can. It doesn't matter if the ball's thrown to you or not. You're stretching you're putting pressure on the number 2 defender, and then sometimes the safety, because your running back's going to be probably your best guy. And if he starts flying, not only the running back, but your inside receiver. So we teach the flare the same way. The flare is he gets even with the quarterback to R. He doesn't turn. He doesn't turn up. Nobody turns up until the ball's thrown.
Very cool. Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for that insight. It's interesting. Who else wants to go about their core plays?
I guess I'll go. Picking back off of that. I'm a guy with a wing tee background, so a lot of times I like to have that some people will call him a flex. I call him a wing if he's outside of the tackle. I usually like to have that tight guy to the surface to give me that 3-man surface all the time. It does.
So
me.
He's in tight. He's
Yes,
not.
sir.
He's not flexed out. He's in tight.
Yes, sir. It's still a 2x2 look, but he's outside the tackle, but he's in tight. And
basically where a tight end would line up, he's just off the line.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Oh. Yes, you can have it. I'm sorry, my daughter's talking to me. But no, guys, that's really good because every now and then we get blessed with one really talented receiver, and we try to get that guy as much space to operate in as possible. I'm big on buck sweep. That gives us the angle to block down. I don't know if you guys have trouble with it. I know a lot of guys are zone guys. When I kind of first got here to Dayton, we don't zone, we don't inside, outside zone stuff when I first got here. we really couldn't reach a defensive end. That was a big issue for us. So I like having that guy. So when we tried to get outside, it was easy for us to seal that edge and make that corner shorter, so we can get outside by just picking and pulling that tackle. We called outside zone zombie, but what we used to do, we'll signal like we're making a tackle, and we'll point outside, and that was our little call for outside zone. And it was basically that, we pulled the tackle and pinned the end with the wing. It was really effective for us. It allowed the tackle to get up on the linebackers. My runs that I do, guys, I got 4 runs, 5 passes, 2 screens, and 2 RPOs. I'm going to run – first thing we're going to do is we're going to do jet sweep. Jet sweep sets up everything for us. We run jet sweep, and then right off of jet sweep, that's when we start teaching our counter. That's when we start teaching our power read. And then I'm going to spend about the next 2 days teaching buck sweep because I just love it. I mean, I feel like buck sweep is – I know everybody say counter or power is God's play. I think buck sweep is the whole trinity then. It is a phenomenal play, very difficult to go against. I know Coach talked about the fade out, guys. Fade out is my favorite pass play. It is now I know I've seen it where people run the backside number 2 on a slant. I've seen Coach Salas's videos, guys. I'm not the greatest guy at teaching slants because I think sometimes the leverage that you get from the outside linebacker, the inside linebacker just really just takes it away. And the quarterback on the middle school level has never really been accurate for us on slants. We throw our slants off jet sweep. We getting 2 by 2. We motion, and I know you guys know, like I know, if you motion in middle school, that backside corner doesn't take an inside leverage away on that backside receiver. So slants always open for us when we do that. But I will get in I'll run the fade out, but what I do is the backside number 2 is we'll run the mandatory outside release with the fade. We'll run the pressure out with the number 2. But that backside 2 for me, guys, he runs a shallow route. And I've got this. I didn't necessarily get the play, but I got the whole kind of progression from Patrick Taylor. I love watching some of Patrick Taylor's stuff. He talks about the open grass reads. For me, it's a peak. We're peeking that outside route. We're reading that outside linebacker, and we're going to throw the grass off of it. And grass is either that pressure out or it's that shallow coming across. And that's perfect when you got a wing guy. When you got that guy lined up on the wing and he's coming flat, 2 to 3 yards deep, that route's always open because if the linebackers do drop back and pass, they're giving that guy 6 or 7 yards to catch the ball.
Do you roll your quarterback in that at all, or keep him in straight back?
My quarterback.
Yeah, does he roll out to this?
No roll out. We teach a half slide protection. We had a guy that was really good with our O-line. He teaches a half slide protection. We catch and we throw. We like to block away from where we call our concepts because we make that quarterback responsible. Usually we try to flood that zone area. So we try to make that quarterback responsible for that near inside linebacker for the hot read. We're always going to be sending somebody in that area. So if you send him, he knows to replace him.
Talking about speed out here, and then you're bringing a shallow with maybe the Y or something behind.
Yeah, I'm
so
bringing
either this guy or out here.
So can we draw that up? Can we draw the fade out? Can we draw this up?
Sure. Let's see.
You got something on your screen you can do it on?
I actually got my playbook, and you know what, guys? I'll share this. I'll share it in that group later. But I'll draw it up. We're true spread, so we got both our number 2s are off the ball. So we're not wide on like some of you other guys, but I'll show you exactly what we do here. I'm drawing it up as we speak. And what we'll do, we can tag the backside route. Can you guys see that?
Yeah. Pull it back just like an inch. Okay. Perfect. Right. Yeah. So he basically fills where that H was.
Yes.
Nice.
So it makes it a lot easier to read the outside linebacker because if that linebacker takes that quick out,
you got to choose
opening up grass for that shallow. if he
Okay, so you're reading the right side first or the left side first?
Yes, sir. Where you see the mandatory outside release on the fade, we call that a peak. We're gonna peak at that route. And now I've heard guys talk about the hard cap. I don't want to overcoach it on the middle school level, but guys, I'm a defensive guy. So one of the things when I say I'm a defensive guy, I'm gonna take something away by alignment. And so most coaches on the middle school, first thing they don't want to do is get beat deep. So they usually play soft coverage. So if they're playing soft coverage and he sees that their corner is way off, he's not gonna throw that. He's not gonna throw that fade. He knows right now that fade's out of there. And I got this from. I want to really acknowledge you, Coach Lasker, because I argue with a lot of guys. I'm not a true air raid guy to the point where I understand everything about it, but I argue with a lot of guys that you could run this on the middle school level and be successful. And the couple years that I was down there with the middle school running this stuff and the success we had made a believer out of a lot of guys down there what we could do and throwing the ball. Because I truly believe, man, that at this level and what you're doing with kids right now at this level, you got to get as many kids involved with what you're doing. So they'll carry over to the high school and continue to be in the program. But this is my favorite play, guys. This is my favorite play. I have it in a huddle.
Coach, could you draw up the read? Which is the number one read, number two? Could you draw that up for me?
Okay.
I know you've kind of gone over it. I have to see things.
No, that's fine, Coach. And I promise you, man.
I'm kind of old. It takes me a while.
I will share my information, man. You can hit me, man, and I will share it. We try to make this so simple for this guy. We're gonna peek at that corner, and we're gonna just read that A-tech. I don't care where the safety is.
Right.
And
I got you. And then you're reading the grass on
just reading the grass, okay. Man. Keeping it simple. And I'll tell you something. That's exactly how I learned how to run verts initially. Is that we got in 2x2 sets and we flashed the back. And we get 4-2-5 teams. They want high safety when you go 2x2, and that's how we learn how to throw the ball. Man, look, I told the quarterback, just read that A-tech. If he goes with that back, we're gonna throw it right in the hole to the seam. We're not worried about the safety. We're not trying to throw past them guys. We're throwing in front of those guys. If that guy rides that seam up the middle, you throw that ball to the running back. We got good at doing those little things, man. I still love to run the ball. Like I say, wing T guy. I'm done after this. I want to let somebody else speak. But one of the things we do, I'm a Buck Sweet guy, guys, we get in trips with the wing, coach. We get in trips with the wing to that side. We'll run Buck Sweet. A lot of guys, I did a study, and I heard other guys did a study. Most people run RPO off the backside. Well, I like my quarterback shuffling and then opening up and throwing that bubble. We'll get in trips. We'll run Buck Sweep to make that A-Tech who's a force player, because, again, I'm a defensive guy, make that guy a force player. He has to step up on that Buck Sweep. If he steps up, we pull and we throw the bubble. That was our best play down the stretch. Getting in trips, throwing that bubble. We called it we
run the Buck Sweep towards the trips?
Run the Buck Sweep toward the trips, throw the bubble to number 2. You read that A-Tech. Usually that guy's either got to walk down and be responsible for that wing. If not, they're only going to play those 2 guys outside with the safety.
And you block down on the end with number 3 receiver then?
No, we're going to read them.
Okay.
We're going to read them. That remember, number 3 for me is a wing.
Gotcha.
He's running Buck Sweep.
2 guys out wide, and then your inside receivers in tight.
Yes.
And he's bubbling.
Just bubbling.
Okay.
We're just bubbling, coach. It was dangerous because usually if that's your best kid, you want them out there 2v2 situation. You know your kid's gonna make somebody miss and go to the house. If that A-Tech widens out with the bubble and you give it, you're gonna get 5 or 6 yards before he can fall back in and make the play.
Yeah, Coach Salas, that sounds like a lot. Coach Salas did a video on GT counter, combine it, and we do it by traditional 3x1 set to the field. But that was my biggest question to you, Coach Salas, because he was combining GT counter, and he'd run it toward the trips, and then he would either pull it and throw, depending on the numbers, throw out throw the bubble or continue on and run the GT counter. Right.
I
Right.
think George is actually going a step farther, though. You're whole thing.
I can draw it up and I can put it in the group. I don't have it on video. We don't video our middle school here in Dayton. I got parents that video stuff, but I don't have it cut up in clips and huddle like that. But I'm a coach, and again, like I said, I'm a wing tee guy, but you know, I also kind of bred in the triple option stuff. Everything becomes triple option to me. Dive key, pitch key, all that stuff. You know, I'm counting numbers over there. If we don't block them, we're gonna read them.
Yep.
And I've gotten this stuff from you guys, man. I've gotten it from Coach Salas, Coach Mackey. Watching what you guys do is trying to make it merge to what I like to do and stay true to some of my wing tee run stuff. I've gotten a lot of my stuff from you guys. That way, having that wing still allows me to run mesh, still allows me to run shallow, still allows me to run all those crossing patterns that you guys still run out of wing tee.
Totally. I've heard many people refer
I wish
to
you
air
had
raid as a triple option of passing. So
video.
it makes sense.
What doing? He's not running the bubble, right? The number 2's running the bubble.
Number 3 is blocking down on the end. Did I say he wasn't blocking down on the end?
Yeah, I think he said you're reading the end. I thought like a power read. It sounded like
Oh,
you're saying.
no. We're reading the outside. We're reading that outside backer. So most teams we play are 4-2-5. So they're gonna take that I like to call them a rover. I know people got different analogies for them, but I like to take that rover and counter. It's kind of, you know, that's the wing tee philosophy. You take away one thing, you make me do the next thing. You know, I go bug sweep counter all the way down the trap. That's my menu when it comes to runs. My passes are kind of very generic, but I like to make it pretty simple. Everything I try to do, I try to make it a peak, read, grass. That's what I tell my quarterback. Peak, read, grass. We try to make sure all our concepts mirror that. If it doesn't mirror that, then we can't run it. Probably could, but we try to, you know, I mean, you guys are coaching middle school. You know, in high school, you might got 8 guys in position group. Middle school, you got 18 kids, and 9 of them really can't. You know?
Absolutely. That's great, man. I appreciate it.
Sorry for taking so long, guys. My bad.
All right. We like George, we run buck sweep like crazy. In fact, we always call all our plays, like if we just, like, for instance, our what we call Aggies is a tight end with a wing to the tight end side, and then we have the 2 receivers out to the you know, away from the tight end, and we had a little kid this year that was pretty quick, and we started running buck sweep with him, and that little joker. I mean, he'd rip off a 30-yard run in a heartbeat, and if he'd hold on to the ball, I mean, that was his big thing. He could rip off a big run, but then he might fumble the ball when somebody got close to him and breathed on him. But so we ran buck sweep, and then we ran counter off that, and then zone was our big, you know, zone read was our big play. That was the big thing we ran. That we've been running the past 2 years. Now we're actually, I'm thinking about going more, and our high school runs the power read, and but I'm trying to figure out the best way if I want to put the power read in with the pistol, and the best way to do it. So if any of y'all got any ideas, I'll gladly listen to that. But you know, we go. You know, our big play the past 2 years was the RPO. We had a basically kind of like what George was saying, that same type of formation, single receiver to one side, trips, but the wing was close, and the wing actually ran the RPO. He ran the stick route, and then our two outside receivers, our two the twins on the outside, on that same side, the outside receiver would run a post, and the inside receiver would run a wheel, and then our backside receiver ran a stop, and then actually it was more of a hitch, and we'd watch that corner, and he would and we tell him, he's like, you tell him that, you got to let us know what that corner's doing, and if that corner got sleepy, then we'd run hitch go, and we'd sneak our the guy that was running the RPO, we'd sneak him to that hitch go, and it's touchdown every time, because that kid was pretty electric. But with that RPO, our quarterback was such a good athlete that he could make a bad read and he could still make a play, because they had to honor his feet because he was so fast. And but we got to the point where we took our best receiver, put him on the inside, had that same look, but went empty with it, and would motion him to the three receiver side, and we called that Gamecock Delta, and when and the Delta was the motion guy. He's motioning across, and he's running into the flats, and the wing would sometimes he would block, or sometimes he would just run the stick route, just kind of how people lined up on him. If they lined up on the inside of him, then he was going to block. If they lined up outside of him, then he'd let him go. He'd run a stick route. So we always had two pass options, and then the run option with the quarterback.
And that's so cool. I'm curious how many, and I want to ask you, Matt, how you drill for RPOs. I was too chicken. I started coming. I went into last season thinking I was going to do it, but I couldn't do it. How many of you guys run RPOs at the middle school level?
I do.
We do.
Some in 8th grade, yes.
It's mostly a bubble RPO, not second level RPO.
Makes sense. A lot of you guys do it, huh? Okay. Yeah, you guys got to start teaching me some of that stuff. I mean, I don't know. We're just going so fast. I don't even, honestly, like 12 plays, like I said earlier, I can't even call all those plays. It doesn't seem like in a game. It's not enough time. This clock just runs so fast at this level. But how do you drill that, Matt? How do you drill those RPOs? I mean, is it you build it into your regular pass drills, or you have separate sessions just to
we have separate sessions, and then we do a lot of it with team. We do a ton of the stuff with team. But one thing that we'll do is I'll actually the past couple of years, I would stand behind the defense while we were doing team offense. And I'd stand behind the scout team defense, and I'd watch the quarterback. And our quarterback, that was one thing. And you guys that actually, I don't know how many of y'all are teachers at the schools where you coach, but my quarterback he didn't even live in our area. He actually lives right beside the neighborhood next to me, but so he and I would ride to school together. I'd take him to school with me every day, and so we were talking the whole time. And he would bring up stuff on huddle, and when we were at a stoplight, he'd say, "I didn't make a good read right there, did I?" And I'd look at it like, "No, you didn't." But I would stand behind the defense and stand behind the free safety, and it pissed him off. It pissed him off because I'd be like, bad read. but then he got to the point where he would even know, yeah, I made a bad read, and he we might blow the whistle right then, and he would just kind of drop the ball and go, man, and say, my fault. But but it's just, it was one of those things where you just got to rep, and then eventually it just happens. And once it starts happening, the cool thing is they'll like one game we didn't run it at the very beginning of the game, and I wish I had that game. I don't know where the game is on film. I thought I had it on Huddle, and then Huddle started charging too much and telling people to take stuff off. So, but
Crazy.
when we first came out, we didn't run the RPO, and then that second drive, that's all we ran was the same play, same formation, and they did not adjust to the RPO, so that stick route was open every time, and that kid, he caught the ball, he get 10, 12 yards, 10, 12 yards, 10, 12 yards, till finally they just had a linebacker basically holding his jersey, and so our quarterback just took it in for the rest of the way. But and he came back, he came off the field after we scored and did 2-point conversion, and he goes, "Coach," they're not going to stop that. Let's just run that the whole time. And that's what I mean for the rest of the game. That's what we ran the whole time, and we take our shots with that hitch route on the backside. Every so often, we take a shot deep with it if we saw that corner was either creeping up too much or getting sleepy and moving inside. Because like George was saying, the corners on our level, I don't know how they are in California
No.
or anywhere else, but
that's where you hide kids. That and nose tackle, man.
yeah, they if you cross their face, they're going to run with whoever crosses their face. I assume it's like that in every state, and so I tell and I teach and I coach the DBs also, and I tell the guys, I'm like, y'all don't. I said, if you cross face, don't be following them. I said, because you're doing exactly what I tell you not to do when we get into receiver groups, because I'll flat out tell them, and the corners that are my receivers, they get all ticked off because I'm like, yeah, y'all are stupid because y'all follow every time. I said we'll go. We're in Team D. We'll run RPOs against them, and we'll start crossing them and everything. We're running just different pass routes, and they'll start following. They'll start following that inside guy, and that linebacker will follow him the whole time. So
yeah, that's so frustrating. I mean, literally, I can be telling a corner or a linebacker, do not go with that slant, and literally the next rep in practice, it's I don't know. I don't know what it is. There's some hardwired thing for a 12-year-old. They just want to chase it. That's so funny, man. That's so.
Coach Hall, that looks like all good stuff. But I just want to come take a nap in your chair that looks so comfortable.
You know what, man? I'm upstairs in my room over the garage, and I don't even sit in this chair anymore.
I just want to come up there and visit you and sit in your chair and take a nap.
It's a good napping chair when we were at our other house and we moved, man. This thing was great.
Absolutely. That's so funny. And to your point, Matt, I mean, the coolest thing last year was I used to, when I first started watching his film, Patrick Taylor kept preaching on his all verts open grass video he did with Mackey about, letting at some point the quarterback, if he's good, he'll take over and just run it for you. And I'm like, there's no way like an 8th grade kid can do that. Like, that sounds nice, blah, blah, blah. He's a high school coach. That's not, but honestly, like, I was caught off guard last year by the amount of time my quarterback took. We'd call Y stick on the backside. There's 8 yards off. And I'm like looking at the linebacker play side, like, where's the open grass going to be? And he pulls it and throws it, quick, easy money on the backside, catch you off guard, or we'll make a read or come to the sideline and say, hey, can we tag on the backside a skinny post or something? But I think that's the coolest thing that I found with this offense is like the way that we practice it and rep it and keep the playbook small. These kids can like master it and then kind of be at the next stage, right? And be able to make those adjustments for themselves. And you had, Matt, that's so cool that you had the quarterback in your car on a consistent basis where you can get in his ear. And you're not the kid's dad. So it's like,
he was in my class too. So he instead of taking notes, he's over there drawing up plays. And I'm just like, dude, come on now.
You get me in trouble.
My internet went down, so I don't mean to intrude on the conversation, just trying to catch myself back up.
No, you're in. You're back. I know mine was a little slow too.
I got a quick question. You guys were talking about that practice, and the thing that I'm getting from most of these air raid guys is the consistency of high repetition. in practice, and that's one of the things that I think I'm going to have to change from the way I'm used to coaching coming into this air raid system. So I just wanted a little bit of feedback with you guys as far as like what you run your practice structure. Now the install, I watched Salas's videos on that, and that's it's pretty straightforward and actually awesome. And that's great for our beginning of the season. But when we start in-season practices, so the way our schedule works is our games are usually on Thursday nights. So we have basically a Monday practice, Tuesday, and then Wednesday's our pregame or walkthrough or whatever you guys call it. And then Friday will be kind of like a lift and run session before the varsity game because the kids have other things that they got going on at the varsity game. We have about 30. It's about 28, 30 kids. So I'm just curious of what you guys. That's a really small school compared to what some of you guys are running with. But I'm just curious with how you do your in-season practice because the way I used to run it was I took a day for offense, I took a day for defense, and then we put it all together on Wednesday. But I'm not going to be able to do that any justice as far as getting those high repetitions if they're only doing it one day a week. So yeah, I'm just curious. And I see you're putting something up there. So
yeah, is that big? Is it small, or is that big?
Well,
trying
it's
to,
a little bit, but I can actually increase the size. So
trying to blow it up a little bit. And I have I'm going to release all this to everybody. I just put together a new webinar series, and there's one about practices and 3-day install. The 3-day install is literally, like you said, I stole it from Coach Salas. And the fact that you guys have offensive practice one day and defensive practice together, that's how we do it. Honestly, the majority of people I've heard don't have it like that. The majority of the coaches that I've talked to out there do like half offense and half defense every day, which I like to focus in. And we practice, or we play on Saturdays, but we have basically Tuesday practice is our offensive practice during the season. Wednesday is our defensive practice, kind of like you're talking about. And Thursday is kind of everything, special teams, walkthrough, tune everything up. And so for us, it is all about not only the practice, but the drills that we do in practice as well. Okay, so curious how much you know about the drills, because if not, we'll get you tied into that as well, Paul. Like the settle and noose, pat and go, and routes on air. Those are 3 practice drills that if you're going full air raid, you got to do those every day to some extent. Okay. But basically, I mean, the way that you're doing it is, so settle and noose is just, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, that's just kind of like what we use to warm up, get the receivers kind of learning the relationship between linebackers, how to catch balls. But from pat and go all the way through routes on air, 7-on-7, and then the team period down here. I mean, literally, those are just rep after rep after rep of balls being thrown. So routes on air, I'm not sure how many quarterbacks you guys have. We had 2 last year. Are you familiar with routes on air?
Yep.
That's probably the best drill that I can possibly, like, I don't know. For us, we have 2 quarterbacks live, and then we'll have 3 coaches actually throwing. So every single receiver, if we're in ace with 4 receivers and a running back, everyone's running Y stick, and every single receiver will be catching a ball, and every quarterback will be throwing a ball, right? And then the quarterbacks rotate around. So that's huge, right? So this is all about reps. 7-on-7, obviously, we're running high reps in that as well. And then this banded drill, the team drill, where we'll do situational. Again, got this from Salas, right, from him. But we'll have different situations coming out, going in, middle of the field. But again, the day that we're practicing, we'll pick the plays for that week, the game plan, and just only rep those plays. Now, this was kind of like middle of the season, so we had most of our plays in by then. But just a way to structure it where there's no wasted time or periods. but you're really focused on getting as many reps as possible with your.
How many coaches do you have on offense?
Yeah, so we're blessed. I had about 9 coaches last year.
Wow.
At the 8th grade level, and they're all volunteers. It's youth football. We live in a super football rich community. So the good thing is that they're there and we can work with them.
And how long are I'm looking at like period 1 is that 15 minutes?
Yeah, so total 20 minutes. We used to actually stretch before last year. We used to stretch during this period and take all that time, but now we started listening to all you guys. I'd love, Joe, if you talk through it. Yeah, the first 20 minutes basically is warm-ups. So yeah, anything to add, Coach? I think you probably have the practice down a little bit better than I.
No, I love what you're doing there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so then Indy for receivers, right? Like we want them to be blocking every day because if they don't block. I love all these new phrases that I've heard. No block, no rock. That's my new favorite one. But we definitely want to practice blocking every day, and then spend another 10 minutes on any technique that you guys have. But yeah, I mean, from basically 650 on, I mean, it's just rep after rep after rep for receivers, and just being really intentional with the pass plays. And I think that's why the small playbook is so important, Paul, is because you can spend the last hour practicing a million plays that you don't use, but if we have our 3 quick game plays and maybe our 2 drop back game that we really want to run that week, I don't know. It's amazing how many passes these quarterbacks have to throw in a season.
Yeah, Coach, you're doing about 40 minutes a team every day? Or about?
Yeah, maybe 30 minutes typically.
So we run a 2-hour practice, and we'll have to have, and that's 100 guys, 2 separate teams. So we'll have to do 50 minutes of offense, 50 minutes of defense with all those guys. But that's awesome.
So you practice all together, both 7th and 8th grade, they practice together as a team?
Right. So when one group is doing offense and the other group's doing defense, so that's how we work it.
Yeah, for me, that's how my kids are gonna get their reps. So like the scout team on offensive days, the scout team or 7th graders and 8th graders practice together for us. So on offensive days, the 7th graders are getting a defensive practice in. They're getting their defensive reps, especially in team, and then vice versa on defensive days. But yeah, you were kind of breaking in and out of there, Coach. I got the gist of most of what you were saying. Is there? I liked your page on Twitter. So is there a way that you're gonna will you make this available for us?
Yes, I will. I've already shared it with some people. I'll forward this on to you, and then I'm going to do a new video series just all together, and one whole thing will be about this. But yes, I will forward this. In this, we'll have. So that's the regular season practice. Here's what a practice looks like during our install, right? Which is different, like you were mentioning earlier. Literally, this is Salas's. This is straight from the Salas playbook here that I just stole and just plugged in my stuff.
That's crazy because I literally am now with this quarantine, I have a lot more time to work on all this stuff. So I think I'm the most prepared I've ever been for football season. But that's almost exactly what I have, and that install makes a lot of sense to me. Make sure you get a little bit of each of the parts of the offense on a particular day. Go ahead.
I got a question. So when you go 2x2 in your ace, is that where your Y's always on the line, or when your receivers you don't go true doubles in addition to that, or is that your 2x2 set?
So we have gone, and it's bad because right now I have enough videos out here that span enough time to where some of the videos this Y will be on the line, and some of the videos they'll be swapped where the R is up and the Y is back. I mean, we went back and forth, and if you watch our cut-ups, you'll see it both ways. and it was all centered around trying to get the timing for the Y corner. I mean, that Y corner is so deadly for us because the single high safety is just such. People don't. It blows my mind that people don't adjust. But anyway, so I've gone back and forth, and I'm settled again now with him on the line. But honestly, I mean, it's really up to what you guys really want to do. I love the idea of having him back here so he can come in motion and do fly sweep, and you can kind of keep him where you want him.
I have seen some of your cut-ups that you put on that you posted, and I would love to have a couple of those quarterbacks that you had in some of those videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quarterback he's a smart. I mean, the biggest thing, he's got an arm, he's got size. His 3 older brothers played like Division III football quarterback, so they got the pedigree. But the best thing about that kid is his IQ, and I'm not bullshitting. Like, his IQ is off the charts, and like that, I'll take that part of him over his arm or anything. But yeah, I mean, he makes it look easy. He's just one of those kids that's like just smooth.
I have a question for the coaches that have been doing this a lot longer than me. Y'all sitting back listening and ganging up the information or whatever. But we had a lot of guys, and I'm pretty sure you get a lot of guys that come in from the rec ball, or, well, for me, it was Pop Warner. And a lot of the times, Pop Warner is more, or rec ball is, I'm going to do whatever I got to, and I'm going to win the game. You know, it ain't really as much as teaching as it should be. And at least it wasn't when I played. I don't really know too much about that. But we had a lot of guys that came in, and they didn't know football at all. Like, they would watch it on Sundays, and you would throw out positions, and they'll look at you like, well, Coach, what the hell are you talking about? So this season for our practice, instead of doing traditional butt kicks and all that warming up, I decided to try something, what I'm going to call a fundamental circuit. So that'll be a warm-up. Split everybody off into your position, and each position that had a warm-up. So quarterbacks to practice on throwing mechanics and footwork, linemen to work on your first step and then putting it all together. Receivers, takeoff and ball security, cut moves, certain things like that. But it's experimental now, but I wanted to run it by some guys who've been doing it a lot longer than me to see if there's any way to improve it, or I'm on the right track or not.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. I've yet to meet a true air raid coach that does actually warm ups. Coach Salas, maybe you could talk to that a little bit, but I honestly, everyone that I know that runs this offense like truly is all in, seems to use warm ups as a way to do technique or to work on things like that versus spending the time to actually get down and do static stretching.
I think you're right on it. Anytime you're spending time on fundamentals, I mean, even at the high school, we get them where I don't know if they've ever seen a game before. So, and we spend time in stances and starts, and any fundamental time you're doing is going to pay off big down the road. So I think you're right on the money.
Well, see, that's what our head coach really wanted to get into. He wanted to get into really getting these guys prepared for the next level, because a lot of the time, they come from, and that was another issue we had, they come from being the biggest kid or the fastest kid, and they ain't really got to put no effort in, where they quickly learned that every team we played, all of their players was damn near bigger than we are. So you're not the biggest guy on the field anymore. You can't just half-step and then dominate the guy in front of you. So that's why I figured I would, go into that and take that approach that my head coach is trying to get to, and get them as much ready as possible for the next level. So that's why we take our practices and get them. And then we get Thursday to review, and we don't get weekends to do anything. That's off time in North Carolina.
We're the same way. And we'll either play on Wednesdays or Thursdays. And if we have a Wednesday game, we'll practice Monday, Tuesday, play, and then Thursday we might watch film, or we might actually just kind of introduce what the next team that we're playing is going to do. And we might go out in helmets that day, and that's it. But then I got
a week.
What's that?
That's all you get is 2 practices a week, Matt?
No, we'll get 3.
Oh, so you do
Well,
like
we
the week before.
we could get 4, but I'll be honest with you, I got a strict policy against Friday practices, because we got to be at the games on Friday nights anyway. And if we practice, I mean, it'd be rushing home to rush back. So that's, and a lot of our kids, we got our middle school and another middle school feed into our high school. And so every home game, we actually have a cookout before the game, so all the kids can, from both middle schools, can kind of hang out and break bread, so to speak, before we have to play each other in the last game of the season. So we don't have too many hard feelings going on.
Matt, who organizes that cookout?
Actually, the guy that was the guy that was calling my offense, he did. But I don't know. He swears up and down he's coming back to do that because he still coaches baseball for our high school. So
so what do you do? Just throw some hot dogs on the grill?
Man, we just throw hot dogs, and we got drinks, and the 2 middle schools, the B team, the high school. Well, we feed into a 5A high school in South Carolina. 5A is the biggest, and crazy thing is, this year we didn't have a B team. We didn't have a 9th grade team. They moved all the 9th graders up to JV, and so so those kids that weren't playing that were playing JV instead of varsity, they come out there too, and so that means we get to see some of our former players also, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But,
who funded it?
That coach, he would go to Sam's and just buy a shit ton of hot dogs and buns, and his brother made some chili that would knock your socks off. And so the kids, man, I don't know. I always told them I wasn't going to get near them after they ate hot dogs and chili because they could stay in the farther side of the stands. I stay on the field.
But what time? Like how early would they do it?
We'd be there about 6:00. Kickoff for varsity for us is 7:30. So we get down there about 6:00, and they'd open up the what we call the mini stadium. That's where the practice field for the varsity, and so the kids would be out there running around, and then they come get a hot dog. They go back out, and like I said, and we actually had this past year we had probably 10 to 15 parents that would come down, and be down there with it. And that's from both teams, and so we all kind of got to know each other throughout the varsity season, which is kind of cool, which is kind of neat. When we played each other at the end of the year, their coaches knew our players, our coaches knew their players, and so we kind of know each other before they moved on to the high school together. Oh yeah, we love it. Everybody who was leaving, that's the first thing that the kids asked was, well, who's going to do the cookout?
Who's cooking the dogs?
Who's cooking the hot dogs?
Who's cooking the dogs?
Yeah.
That's funny.
How many of y'all run the pistol? Does anybody run a pistol formations?
Well, I was going to say something earlier and ask Coach George about it because we ran a version of tight slot switch, which I call it and what it was called in high school for us, which is essentially the kind of the wing T formation, except your running back is at regular depth. And I run that, but my quarterback is in the shotgun instead of under center, which is kind of the pistol without the receivers out wide. And we run a play, which I was going to ask about earlier when everyone was speaking about the counter. We have a play that I call 3 and 4 comeback. I know Coach George said he likes the triple option, which this play is set up by the speed option. So what ends up happening is quarterback takes the ball and him and the running back go the respective way, opposite way, as if it's a speed option. But the running back counters back and the quarterback hands it off to him. We got a hell of a lot of yards off this play because everybody would start flowing one way out of that 6'2", full speed, and now that I got everybody going right, and come back with the counter and come up under that outside guy that's rushing, because that's essentially all he's going to do is rush straight up field, and it's normally the touchdown or a big play. Yeah. But we didn't pull no lineman with it. It was just strictly the tight slots formation, and we'd run out like everybody block like it's a speed option, and he comes back, and like I said, it's usually a big play or a touchdown.
You block it like counter? Block it counter the other way?
Say that again.
Block it like counter the other way. You pull the guard tackle back the other way, the speed option.
No, we don't pull linemen at all in this play. You just run it as if everybody goes. It's zone blocked. It's zone blocked to the right, and it gets what I found for it. It gets everybody flowing that way because everybody in the teams we play out of 6'2". I mean, the guys up front, other than the outside, they're gonna follow your lineman, which they would. Well, at least that's what they did with us. They followed the lineman, and the guys on the outside just essentially rushed straight up the field. They didn't run towards the ball. They didn't go anywhere else. So we would block it as if we're coming that way to get them coming upfield, but yet the running back counters back and goes up under the guy who done already rushed upfield to try to track down the ball from behind.
I'm trying to follow some of the stuff you're saying. I know I got a good idea of what you're doing. I wish I can kind of see it. I'm a big gap scheme kind of guy. So we do pull, we do run counter. What we get in is a formation that we call train. And it's the same situation where we got that wing, but the only difference is we take those two slots and we stack them at wing. And so we'll stack them to a side. So it's essentially trips, but we call it train because you have two wings stacked on top of each other. And what we do is that's a lot of times, again, like I said, we were not very good at tackle, so we couldn't really reach in. So we had to find ways to seal that edge as quick as possible so we can get to the perimeter and let our athletes make plays. So we did a lot of quarterbacks. We did a lot of this in the red zone because, again, I try to keep it as simple as possible for my guys in the sense of I want to know if that team's going to commit as many as I'm going to commit to the run game. If you don't, I mean, it becomes a number game. If you don't put a safety and another safety and a linebacker and everybody else over there, then you're outnumbered. And if you do, then I call what we call it around here, some of the middle school coaches I work with, we call it BAM. And that's just, you guys familiar with that, best available matchup. And our best available matchup is always going for us to try to make it always backside. We're going to try to load up formations to the front side, and we're going to always try to get our best skill kid backside one-on-one with your kid and try to get him on the island. And that's where we've had success throwing the slant. The slant. Yes, I'm going to get it, baby. Coach,
a lot of
teaching that slant. But, man, we run this counter. We run this counter out the backside of it, man. That's really good. I posted. I'm almost done, baby. I posted in the I got a 3-year-old guy. She's grown. Coach Salas, I posted the book. I posted the fade out in the group that Coach Lasker got. And I also, Coach Hall was talking about a power out of pistol, power read. We didn't do it with the running back. What we did essentially, we just ran like jet power read out of it and used the running back as another blocker that side and just read it like that. So I posted those 3 plays in the group, guys, man. I'm learning so much, man. I tell you, man, you got guys like Coach Salas, Coach Mackey. Man, Patrick Taylor has truly taught me how to throw the ball without having to dive into breaking down all these different scenarios and all that. I don't quite understand the R4 yet. I don't quite understand all this. I just try to make it simple for my quarterback. You're going to peek this route, you're going to read that guy, and you're going to throw the grass. And we do that. And so for us, it's always peek, read, grass, backside's always open. And the backside always open comes from Coach Leach, where they started swinging that back and making the ball call. Ball, we're going to flip the hips and we're going to throw that ball to that running back. And we try to teach that at the middle school level. It was rough at first, believe me, it was rough. But man, we again, whatever you rep, less is more. So, and I believe that even on the defense, less is more. But I've learned so much from this. Like I said, I've been scouting you guys. You guys don't even realize I've been scouting you guys. It's made me a better coach, man. I've been scouting you guys. I really appreciate it. Coach Harvick, I've learned a lot from you as well, man.
It's been great, man.
Hey, question, Coach. Do any of you guys have the issue where and this was what a lot of teams did to us, where they're taking normally where you would have the bigger guys up front, D linemen and that. That was essentially why we really didn't pull linemen too much. They would take their fastest players and they would sit them in as D linemen and as, defensive ends. And our lineman was having an issue. I know a number of our guys would come off the field and say, Coach, I can't get him. He's too fast. And it was really, it wasn't blowing up our plays because our running backs was just as fast or faster. But that was one of the issues we were having badly. They would take their fastest players. But what really I found in watching the film is why I told Matt I really want to get to throwing the ball a lot more is by doing that, you're leaving the guys on the outside in a messed up matchup because they ain't as good. They're not as good and they're not as fast. But that was wondering if anybody else had that issue going into their seasons also.
No, that's what we actually tried to do.
I mean, that's what we do on defense, man. We play with speed, not size.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons how fast do you guys go? I think that's a good answer, a good place maybe to start is, the faster you can go on a consistent basis, that sort of stops all that sort of stuff.
So, Coach Harvey,
because you get to a point where all you can do is line up.
So to your point, like you just said about tempo, like I'm not big on speed. Now, I like one of the things I always tell my kids, we want to be able to pass the test. And test for us is an acronym for we want to control the tempo, we want to be efficient, we want to win situations, and we want to control time. Because again, I like to run the ball still, and I throw the score. When I throw the ball, I'm trying to score. That's my mentality. I want to throw the score. But in terms of tempo, man, I just like to be able to switch the gears when I want to, man. I tell you what, by running a lot of less things, Coach Salas did a video, and I don't know if you remember, Coach Salas, you did it on special teams. You did it on some special teams drills and stuff like that. I will be honest with you guys. We've had success running the plays we run, but the last 2 years that I've been coaching at the middle school before I came to the high school this year, both of those kickers that I had in middle school, they all started on varsity as freshmen. We win games because we can kick field goals. I tell you, in pregame, this is what I do. I got my guys, we run about 3 or 4 plays in pregame. We're going to kick from 10 yards out. We're going to kick from 15, 20. Those guys are kicking 30-yard field goals in pregame in 7th and 8th grade because I coach soccer too. So, like, those guys are kicking field goals. And I'm telling you, you want to win games at the middle school level, you better be able to win on special teams. You'll win a whole lot of games when you can pooch kick, you can squib kick, you can place the ball here and there. You'll win a whole lot more games on special teams than you win by the plays you run. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Other than kickoff and return team, punting and everything else was non-existent for any team for us. I think we had one team that punted the ball at all, and nobody kicked the field goal at all. Not one team and not us.
It may be different for you guys, but here in Texas, if you go for 2 in middle school, it's 1 point. If you kick a field goal, it's 2 points. And I didn't know that my very first game. So the first time we lined up for 2 points, I was like, why did they give us 1 point? They said, well, Coach, you didn't know.
That's Pop Warner rules.
Yeah.
That's like
Texas
scoring
and-
another touchdown, though. That's
Yeah.
a huge difference, man. So we
So we learned how to kick the ball, man.
for sure.
We learned how to kick the ball, and we stole points that way.
Yeah, pooch kicking on kickoffs is deadly because especially if you can find that, if you can get your guy to kick it to the right person that you know is scared to death, you're gonna get the ball. I mean, you're gonna steal possession right there.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, Matt, to get to your point,
I'm sorry.
Matt, I want to come back to the pistol thing because I think that's a good conversation to have at some point here soon. I gotta bounce though, guys. I really appreciate everyone coming through. I think this was an awesome first meeting that we had. I think, if you guys are up for it, let's continue to do it every couple weeks, and we can do them on the fly if we ever want to just do additional ones. But yeah, so I appreciate everyone coming in and chiming in. Let's stay active on social, keep talking. And yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that we can, take from tonight. I'm going to post this video on the, obviously on the Facebook page. I'm going to tell you guys about this website that I just put together. It's really nothing special, but just a place where we can house the videos and documents like practice plans. And I encourage you guys, next time we get on this, you guys, I mean, if you guys have playbooks or whatever online, I'll give you guys co-host ability, and you guys can grab it and start chalking it up. So please, come ready next time with anything that you want to share online, and we can go around like that next time too. But man, this was awesome. I really appreciate it, and I learned a ton from you guys. So thanks for joining.
We appreciate you guys, man. And
Awesome,
man. Some friend requests, man. I hope you guys friend me.
For sure.
Hey, thanks for putting it together, Coach Lasker. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
I loved it. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Great.
All right, cool. We'll keep the conversations going, guys.
See you in a couple weeks.
See ya.
Oh.